Last shirt change, I promise. I know this is more like there's more costume changes than the Queen concert. Again, showing my age there. But as I say, first season in at the new ground. On a whole, very happy. Game by game, not. It just shows you how like the season before last, how weird the league can be. That with this season, I say with the season before last, when Leicester won the league, mostly because Chelsea didn't turn up, mostly because Man City didn't turn up, and mostly because because Spurs. I can't say bottled it because they didn't. They just lost the. I'll say yeah, okay. I'll say it. That Spurs lost their confidence in completing the run. Really admire what Spurs do and have been doing for the last few years. Really, really admire it. Daniel Levy runs Spurs the way we want the two Davids to run West Ham. We want them. We want decent players coming through. We want decent players being brought in. We want our board to be spending money, and I mean the serious money that Spurs have been spending over that. Don't get me wrong, Spurs got it wrong. They sold Bale, spent a hell load of money on other players. Not all of it worked out. Some of them did. We've done the same thing. We did the same thing last season. We bought in 13 players in total, and out of all of them, you could say two deserve still to be there. Feghouli, I really, really rate. I think he's brilliant. I don't like the fact that he's potentially going off to a Galatasaray because that leaves a bit of Snodgrass on the ring. Snodgrass should have been sold way before Feghouli. As I say, Masuaku, great left back, didn't have enough time to be proven. Ogbonna, sorry, not Ogbonna. Obiang, sorry, I should say. Good signing, really good signing. I'm very, very happy that he's signed a new contract. Very happy with that. I love Pedro. I think he's a great midfielder. Which brings me around to the stuff that I want to talk about anyway. But we'll go into it in a little while. But as I say, season after game per game this season, very, very unhappy with what's happened. Getting tonked by Watford, getting tonked by Leicester, getting tonked in general in our first season at the new ground. Yes, okay, there is a great argument to say Arsenal had the same problem when they moved grounds. Spurs had the same problem when majority of the Championship / Europa games were played at Wembley. Yeah, new surroundings. In our case, bigger pitch, albeit was it 12% bigger or something, but it matters. It really matters. Yeah, as I say, the players we need for this coming season, in my opinion, need to be players that are early to mid 20s, decent pace, which is what we've been screaming out for. Even Bilic is saying pace. We need a lot more agile players and strikers for that matter than we currently have. Now Zabaleta coming in on a free, which isn't a free because it's a signing on fee. Wages, it's a great signing. I was when the stories broke about, was it end of February, beginning of March? I was like, yeah, okay, here we go again. West Ham being linked to everybody. It's on a free to 25 million, like we always are, and we still currently are. But when he came in and signed, wasn't a big fan of the away strip, to be honest. Growing on me now. I don't like the electric blue. I really don't. But it's growing on me the way. At the end of the day, like somebody said on Hammer's chat, it doesn't matter who turns up. So it doesn't matter what someone's wearing on the ground. Doesn't matter. Player won't go, oh, that's a nice shirt. Where'd you get that from? Blah blah. It doesn't happen. You know, it's not like you go into your local pub and you talk to your mates. Well, you got a new shirt, or it's me and Angie. Oh, we got a new shirt. Where'd you get that from? Blah blah blah. It doesn't make a blind bit of difference in football. We could be walking out in mankinis, 11 Borats. Wouldn't make a difference. As I say, I like the home kit. Really like the home kit. I'm hopefully getting it in the next few days. But yeah, I like it. I like the idea of having Zabaleta there. Great player. Has been through the mire with Man City. He was there before the checkbook, so he knows what it's like when a club is trying to develop itself. So we have that experience as much as obviously his international and league experience to pass on. Not just to Sam Byram, for that matter. Thinking about it, it's not just to Sam Byram. It's not going to be the centre. Talking to Winston Reid, and Jose Font, which I personally don't think he should be there anymore. Font, I don't think he's good enough, but we'll see. Especially with Ogbonna coming back and again signing a new contract. Mikel Antonio signing a new contract. Are keeping our decent players. The players that we need to be keeping hold of to rock on to the next level. Yeah, love it. Absolutely love that idea. Great. Now, in terms of the other players, who I personally feel we should let go. Sacco. I love Sacco. I've loved him when Allardyce brought him in. I think he's a great player. Injury record, for one, worries me. His apparent attitude problem since Bilic has come in, that also worries me. And I think maybe the real reason why the West Brom deal didn't go through in January. Yes, okay, he needed his back surgery. Fine. Not going to disagree with that in any shape or form. Would he have been a decent fit at West Brom? Not sure. I don't think so. I would love to keep him if his attitude sorts himself out. If he sorts himself out in that regards, he goes in because of a fully fit Sacco, great. A fully fit Andy Carroll, great player. We saw that. We saw what he was like. We saw what he's like when we got tonked by Arsenal. He scored. He still scored. Oh yes, all right. We lost 5-1, but he scored. He's trying to do it. He's trying to keep himself there. That fantastic game we had against Palace, with Antonio setting up all 3 goals. For Andre Ayew, for Lanzini, and in my opinion, not just because I'm a West Ham fan, but in general, the best goal anyone's ever scored this season was Andy Carroll's against Palace. Really was. So, anyway, distracting from that. Carroll, I would let go as well, again because of the stupid wages he's on, because of his injury record. Who are going to come in? Who would come in for those players? No idea. Because of their injuries, those two fully fit, the world's their oyster. But I can't see anybody coming in for either of them, which is a shame. I'm glad that we've got the ex-Arsenal and England head doctor. I'm hoping that will sort things out. I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll be able to identify straight away what's causing Andrew Carroll's groin strain, apart from the fact he's having kids every couple of years. But yeah, I'm hoping this will be the end, or the start of the end of our injury record that goes back longer than the circumference of the planet. Okay, so as I say, that's basically what I wanted to touch on. I still want to get rid of Snodgrass. I don't like him. I don't think he's good enough. I don't think Font's good enough. I will keep the rest of them though. I will keep Mark Noble for certain games. Excuse me. I'd like to see the juniors coming through. You know, I'd like to see Declan Rice. I think he's got potential. I mean, you don't get signed up, you don't get called up to for your nation's side for no reason. Even if it is the under-21s, you don't get called up for no reason. I'd like to see Reece Burke, Josh Cullen, Reece Oxford. But obviously the majority of those are out on loan. Cullen, I don't know what's happening about yet. I'm hoping something's going to happen. Okay, now sticking with the London Stadium, I just want to talk about my personal feelings on Karen Brady and the board's supporters. Sorry, we're not supporters anymore. Apparently, we are customers or consumers. We're not supporters anymore. That's partly true because we pay our season tickets, we buy their shirts, we buy their pants, we buy their hats, we buy their watches, we go into the shop and spend I can't personally afford to do that, but on average we go in and spend shed loads of money on t-shirts, on shirts, on polo t-shirts, scarves, hats, wallets, key finders, fobs, you name it. We do. We're customers and we're consumers. I hate to say it, but we are. I really, really hate to say it, but we are. We pay our season tickets for the privilege, and it is a privilege, to be honest with you. It's not, nobody's God-given right to have a season ticket. It is a privilege to go and watch our games. People forget that. People very, very easily forget how good it is to go and. As I say, I've been a season ticket holder for 8 years now. We'll be 8 years this coming Christmas, and I've never ever taken it for granted, not once. Partly because when I was a kid I wasn't allowed to go to football because my dad called it a yobs game when he was not wrong in any shape or form, and my mum detested it as well. So, but we as supporters, we are there to support the team, and that includes not booing. Yes, it is partly our right to express our opinions. Express your opinions at certain players, because not all of them are playing badly. When we're being beaten 4-1, I think it was from Watford, 4-5-1 by Watford. Some of the players were playing phenomenally well. Lanzini was playing very, very well then. Randolph made some good saves, but a lot of people forget in that game. Yes, it could have been a lot worse as a result of it. Payet was showing off, which apparently Troy Deeney said, no, we're not having any of this after that Rabona pass, I should say. But yeah, don't boo the team. You can, I've done it myself. I'm more than happy to shout that Mike Dean's a prick. I'm more than happy for people to shout Snodgrass is a waste of time. I'm happy for players to hear the reactions of the fans on what they're doing. But to boo teams at half time? No, I don't boo. Certainly don't boo anymore. Because my heart broke when we and I say we because I was involved in this, when we booed off Enner Valencia, and he went onto the bench and was crying his heart out. Bless him. I don't know. It was awful. I felt so sorry for the bloke. Yes, he's not good enough. Again, as I say, he's a player that I reckon we should be getting rid of. And obviously, apparently he has now. He's gone over to Tigres, how you pronounce it, in Mexico. And thank you, Enner Valencia, for what you've done. speaking to an Arsenal mate of mine, sorry, Chelsea mate of mine, sorry Robbie, he'll know the joke, if he's watching. A Chelsea mate of mine who was very impressed with Sacco and Valencia when we watched the game together. I think it's Holloway. I think it was. I can't remember which game it was. You know, the game where Valencia scored that brilliant free kick from the dead ball. You know, it was. He's a player, but he's not good enough. You know, he's not good enough for Everton. He's not good enough for West Ham. So, well, there's no disrespect to Everton because they've been buying some good players and they're going to be a force next season. And quite rightly so. They're a good club. I don't get the rivalry between the two clubs. Maybe it's the working class background of both clubs. And so therefore the rivals, which is another thing I wanted to talk about. West Ham rivals, in my opinion. Chelsea and Arsenal aren't rivals. Yes, okay, location you could say, yeah. Teams, no way. No, not for a good few years, if ever, for that matter. I don't think that it will be Arsenal and Chelsea will ever be rivals because we're not good enough to give them a fight at the moment. Sometimes we are, sometimes we're not, but in general, we're not good enough to give Arsenal and Chelsea a fight. We're not. Spurs, yes, are a rival, not because of the bad blood between the two clubs anyway, but out of the London clubs, they are the ones that we can still hit hard sometimes. Not so much over the last few, since back in the 80s and 90s, that's where all the animosity was. But, as I say, in the last few years, we give them good games. We don't bow over like we do against Chelsea and we do against Arsenal. We give them good games. Spurs fans don't like us for that exact reason, that we can give them very, very difficult games. Like I said, 4 years ago, we beat them every single time we played them. Same with Liverpool, for that matter. We played them 4 times and beat them 3 times and didn't lose. Last season before last. Liverpool obviously spanked us in the last home game of the season, but we drew with them away. So, it's Liverpool, yes, they're okay. There are, teams. In my opinion, teams that we can give a good battering, we can give them a good game and potentially batter every now and again, are rivals. So, as I say, Spurs are a rival. Liverpool are a rival. West Brom rivals, because we're not at that. We haven't kicked on from that level of being better than West Brom. And I hate to say it. I really, really hate to say it, but West Brom and Stoke, 2 very, very difficult teams to break down. Anybody struggles against those guys. Yes, okay, it's the Pulis effect, you could say. But as I say, that's how I feel about it. Now, what I wanted to talk about is, I mentioned him earlier, Scott Parker, because as we all know, retired end of last week, beginning of this week, and is now going to be coaching the youngsters at Spurs. Fair play to him. Very, very good player. Didn't really get the respect he needed for country. But a very, very, very good player. Now, would he have got that respect if he hadn't have been at teams like Newcastle and Chelsea before us? Who knows? But very good for those. Scott Parker has been good for every club that he's gone to. I'm sure Fulham fans will agree with me. I'm sure Spurs fans will. Spurs fans won't agree with me because I'm West Ham, but I'm sure Newcastle fans are still rate him highly. Chelsea rate him. Some Chelsea fans I know rate him highly. Very good, very, very, very good player. Sad to see that he's retiring. Understandable because he's 3 years younger than me. And I think personally, as Lampard has as well. Both retired at the best points they possibly could, and not drag it out. You could say Lampard dragged it out a little bit, but as I say, obviously I'm guessing that John Terry, if Villa win promotion next season, or this coming season, I should say, then I'm sure that John Terry is going to retire. He's on a 1-year contract anyway, so that's good signs that he's going to retire next season. Again, very, very good player. West Ham Academy, not graduate, but he was there in the academy before Chelsea poached him. Very good phenomenal player for Chelsea. Very, very good. I can't say phenomenal for England, but a very, very good defender for England. Barking boy as well. Which makes the move from Chelsea to Chelsea all that harder. But again, he was there before the Chelsea money. So it's fair play to him. Again, he's had a very, very distinguished career in football. Legend, I don't like legend. There aren't any legends, and haven't been for donkey's years. Cult heroes, no doubt. You could reel a whole list of cult hero footballers. Legends, no. Not really since the times of Bobby Moore or Phil Parkes or Pele. Those to me are legends of football. Because the game was different in those days. A lot different. The game was a lot more sporty. It was a lot more gentlemanly than it is now. They're cowards, a lot of these footballers, quite frankly. More than happy to roll about all over the place, which is not what we want to see in Britain, and haven't wanted to see that for years. It's that whole European style of football. But anyway, as I say, I'm happy about Parker, that he's retired and doing what his dad wanted him to do before his dad died. Because that's why he went to Spurs, because he wanted to. His dad said, "Look, I want you to play for Spurs," and he did, and he's now back there coaching. So that's good. Massive respect for him. Massive respect for him. Now, what I also want to say now is I appreciate this has been going on for quite a while. But as I say, it's my first video. I'm hoping any other videos I do are going to be a lot shorter than this, especially as me on my own. I don't agree with what the majority of people have been doing on Twitter to ex-West Ham employee. He's got no affiliation to the club whatsoever, and he mentions that in his radio shows, and he mentions that in his articles he does for the West Ham Way. Again, I was heartbroken to see that he deactivated his Twitter account because people can't see that he's not an employee. Same way I was heartbroken that the Terminator, Billy Bonds, come on. That he deactivated his Twitter account as well, because nobody should be subject to abuse. I'm sorry, nobody. Doesn't care if it's football. I will hold my hands up and say that when we got relegated, I tweeted Carlton Cole saying, "Why no apology for playing so shit when we got relegated?" So it's quite easily done, but there's a difference between being angry and trolling for the sake of it, which X had, which caused him to deactivate his account. All he was doing was giving us information from the people that he knows that are linked to the club, not associated to, but linked to the club. Same thing with Claret Hugh. He reports to us what he hears from the people that he knows in the club, or knows in the club. The ITKs, as everyone knows it. But yeah, I don't agree that we do this. At the end of the day, he's a person. He's a nice guy. I've never met him, but I've listened to him on the podcast he's done for various football fan channels. He's a good bloke. He knows what he's talking about. He deserves respect from you lot, and I say you lot because I don't do this. I'm sure I'll get some trolls from this and bring it on. If you want to troll me, go for it. It won't affect me. Because I can tell the difference between someone's opinion just being obtuse for the sake of it. Talking about being obtuse for the sake of it, I want to talk about David Gold. Now, as we all know, he's not exactly our most favourite person at the moment, and hasn't been for a good few weeks. More specifically about his comment about the youth, which was badly worded, shall we say. I agree with where he's coming from, but the way he said it, pathetic, absolutely pathetic, and not the sort of thing that somebody would say. And again, today, he has really got my back up in terms of what he said about the bowling ground. And I'm just trying to find the tweet while we're talking, while I'm talking, I should say. Where is it? David Gold. I'm hopefully trying to edit this out. No. Where is it? Can't find it. So it's very good possibility that his tweet's been removed. But basically, he was talking about TalkSport, and more specifically, their love for their beloved bowling ground, not our beloved bowling ground. He may have deleted my tweet, or he may have blocked me, but I can't find it. But as I say, he needs to wake up. He really needs to wake up. Now there is obviously an account that is spoof, which doesn't have the blue tick against it. So there is that. There you go, found it. So TalkSport have voted London Stadium the 6th best stadium in the Premier League. It's a huge upgrade on their old, albeit beloved, Upton Park. Now, as I say, you don't do that. Again, that's a tweet he should never have sent, because it there implies he's got nothing to do with it. Now, for a man who was born and raised on Green Street, and is apparently a very beloved West Ham supporter, a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time, he doesn't show it. Now, because he doesn't show it, it really pisses us all off. Not going to say it. Not going to disagree with it. You know, but as I say, I just want to say, look, that says it all about Bradley. It really does. But yeah, as I say, now what I want to point out is the differences, as I say, with the spoof account. That one is the spoof account. No tick. Understand this, fans. Okay, now let me go on to his actual real one. There. Now I can understand why people get confused too, because he's got the same picture and the same background picture, and the account name is exactly the same, except the underscore at the end doesn't exist for the true one. Okay, doesn't exist. So no blue tick, not genuine tweet from David Gold. It's not rocket science, people. Come on, seriously. Really isn't hard to figure out. Okay, so moving on from that. The next thing I want to talk about is Liam Gallagher. Massive hero of mine. You know, I'm 37, he's 44. Makes me feel old to know that my hero that I worshipped as a teenager, literally worshipped, is now coming close to 50. Obviously his brother Noel is now 50. But as I say, I can't wait to hear his new album. I've heard his new songs. I love him to death. I love Bold. I think it's a beautiful song. I love Wall of Glass. I know it's not his, but it's a really, really good song. I can't wait to hear the album, but the studio versions of it. I've heard this. I heard the live stuff. His voice is going. He knows it, which is the reason why when he was playing Glastonbury and was singing "Don't Look Back in Anger," got the crowd to sing the chorus, because it's a difficult song to sing if you can't sing properly, because there's quite high notes in it. Now there's two ways you could look at that. Either his voice has gone, as his performances live are starting to show. Unfortunately, I love you to bits, Liam, but you know, you need to start moulding your songs a bit better. Personally, my personal opinion, not trolling you, mate. As I loved you during Oasis. Wasn't a big fan of the mixes of the BDI, but they were good songs as well. Still think you're a great musician, a singer, and you know, becoming a really good songwriter. I know you've not been. It's been what, 10 years you've been writing songs. But yeah, it's been as a Bold. I absolutely love Chinatown. I'm not sure if it's yours or not, Liam, but I think Chinatown's a good song as well. But maybe it could be the fact that he doesn't want to sing high notes because he either can't sing it anymore, can't do them anymore, or that he feels it's not in his image to sing high notes. Like, for example, with live performances of Morning Glory, both with Oasis, and now the backing singer sings the high well bits. And also during his time in Oasis, when it was up in the sky, Liam would leave out the high bits towards the end of the verses, the end of the chorus, I should say. How does it feel when you're inside? You'd never hear him say that. You just hear, how does it feel when you're in? That's it. You wouldn't hear the rest of it. Personal choice, fine, not a problem. I don't disagree. I still think you're a great performer. Looking forward to the album, and even tweeted you when Wall of Glass came out saying how much I love it. I think it's a great track.